Good afternoon. A couple days before Christmas. I just wanted to go through the work I'm doing online right now. I've cut it back a lot in the last 2 years. Before 2022 started, I had over 20 blogs, and that's been cut down to just two blogs and one video site, essentially, and then a marketing site. Um, And so let me just go over what I have and what I'm trying to do and what the reasons are, and give you some thoughts about what's going to happen, what's happening with my books, and the possibility of a film is actually quite interesting. Um, but let me uh, there are what I have is essentially five online accounts. And they're always based now on my legal name, which is either John W. Boushka or Jboushka. And I got rid of using the nickname as the name of a site or channel or anything. There's some complicated reasons for that I'll go over in a later video. Yes, and it does distantly have something to do with trademark and commercial viability, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Um, but I basically have right now the most important thing is right now is the YouTube channel itself. Um, here's the playlist, and one thing and if you go and look at
To choose
it does
significant
play
others
my
based on their
Hamlin
own needs
University
and not
speech,
on the
but you'll
needs of
see the regular
society and
videos,
profit.
and you'll
That's
see
something
the
that we need to
shorts.
debate.
And one thing that's
Another
particularly
serious area.
useful is the community page, where I'm finding if I post still pictures, if I post still pictures, that they do get some response. Here's some pictures of the Windstar Resort on the Oklahoma-Texas border that I visited in 2018, and some other stuff. Breakfast at Denny's, or breakfast at Freddy's, and then Christmas party and breakfast at Denny's, that with a robot experiment, and then Vegas and Noma and so forth. Um, so I'm finding that quite
Among other,
useful in in present
among
kind of
other things, protecting the
presenting my work. Um, the other issues that I've got a blog. The one blog which I is based mostly on movie, TV, and book reviews, and sometimes I'll have some in a row that are about a common theme, like The Man Who Knew Too Much recently. Sometimes I'll try to connect music to the movies and to books and so forth. And some of the books are about political things that are going on. Reviewed a book about cancel culture recently, uh, and the music, the four temperaments, are like the performativities. Uh, so I'm trying to cover things in a way that relates books and content to issues that are of interest to me. But I don't cover. I don't try to cover all the issues. I don't try to pretend to be able to solve the problems like what's going on in the Middle East or anything. I'm not going to offer opinions about that very often, because I don't personally have a standing in it, other than just what everybody feels, about the exposing civilians to war. That's a very sensitive topic, but I'm not going to get into who's right on these international conflicts right now. It's just not my game anymore to do that. Um, but there's also an older personal blog, which is just under the Jboushka name, which takes up some of the which takes up some specialized topics that I've had for a long time. Um, and then here's my main site under my name, johnwboushka.com. And then finally, there is a commercial site under web.com that presents my four books. They're on hand. Well, one of them are fundamental rights I've run out of. I'd have to print more, and it's not under POD. But the Do Tell books are under POD. And I've often shown you this page before. But let me just then say that my pen name, I don't actually use to name sites anymore. But it is my author's pen name with my books, my Doaskdtell books, and there isn't the commercial activity that is going on right now, as I have been supporting book fairs and bookstore marketing campaigns. I know that that's a little odd to do with books that are 20 years old, and why I've done it that way and how that came to be and the way it is, I'm going to talk about later in January. There is some interest. I've been to 2 pitch fests, and the one in California last February went very well. It attracted quite a bit of attention, I think. And I'm reasonably sure there is some awareness of the potential, what a film would be like if you actually made a film or made a series, a series to be watched, to be streamed, a streaming channel. It could create quite a political reaction. And I think there are people in the entertainment business and the movie business are aware of that. And I do have some personal contacts. So that is what I'm pursuing. I would add, if I go back to the video, if I go back and look at the YouTube channel, it looks like I closed it. It's one of the problems I keep having is I keep closing.
Sodomy laws are applied to
And my
homosexuals
thing,
only. So at
but
least
if
there
you
is
go
some
back
hope
to
that
my
it will be
playlist,
overturned.
you'll find there's I have what I call the Do Ask Do Tell show at the right side of the playlist, and that's a series of about a
Okay,
large
good afternoon,
number of
and let's
videos.
get on with
I
the show.
don't actually
This is Do Ask, Do
I don't
Tell, the
want that to,
show.
don't want it to play right here, but what the playlist does, it presents a proposed um, outline of what the movie would be. I propose a serial of 3 episodes that would be streamed, one on the first chapter, another one on the second chapter. When I was in the military myself, the first chapter would have to do with my willing expulsion. The second chapter would be our would be about when I was drafted myself right after finishing graduate school and being an assistant instructor, what that was like to go from that transition. And then the last session would be how Don't Ask, Don't Tell was finally repealed and how that connected to my own experience. So that's sort of like what they call it. What I have here is a series of videos with lots of still photos supporting them. That was what I think that's what they call a pitch deck in Hollywood's terminology. So I've essentially made my own pitch deck for this, and also some professional videos about my own about one in particular that was made.
Good morning.
And again,
Today I'm
I don't
pleased
really
to
want to play it here.
release the location of a
But you can see it's a couple of professional videos that were made, particularly one in March by iUniverse. If you look at that one, that one's been rather successful. And this picture right here is an interview as a president. You can see here is a presentation I gave in St. Paul, Minnesota at Hamline University in 1998. It's about an hour long, was filmed with the Libertarian Party of Minnesota. And it's the closest thing to a film of the books that exists now, but it is, it isn't almost an hour long. So it's a significant video. You can certainly watch that. So the other thing I would just talk about would be what would commercial, if I had to be more commercial, what would I do? It doesn't look like in my spelling. Here, I don't just fix this document right here online, but what it's a little cheat sheet, but getting sponsors, commercial sponsors, is one thing people often do. Patreon could be problematic for me, I think. one of the problems is that I have an inherited estate, and that makes asking for donations very problematic. And then another problem is that, in a way, I have the ability to compete by myself without joining an organization, which in a way can be problematic and be seen as hurtful to activism, or some people would see it that way. And it's something I'm very aware of. And we'll talk about that more soon. Um, the other thing that a lot of people are doing are running services that where they have to sign people up as subscribers for whatever it is, for a course, a class like in screenwriting or a book club or something, and where you have to actually or you could have a Substack. You could have, and I don't know if I'm popular enough to actually make a Substack work, but it's something I've started thinking about. So anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about 2 days before Christmas, and to cover where I am. And again, the content right now, occasionally I'll talk about things that I'm most concerned about, and some of the issues I'm most concerned about. I'll try to present all sides, which sometimes it sounds like I'm encouraging someone because I don't have this skin in the game that other people do, that I'm encouraging someone to be hostile, which is a problem with a setup like mine. Sometimes that's why some people expect you to join sides and fight for them. It's kind of a paradox. Um, but I also present a lot of, try to present videos of attractions of places that are interesting that I've discovered, and that where there's some subtle point. Like the other day, um, I was in Noma in Washington near Union Station. I happened to notice a train car, a MARC train. It had a passenger car for bicycles on it. I can see it on the overpass. I thought that was an interesting thing to present. Little things I see that are interesting, or animals that behaving or something, or just or activity that I encountered. Once in a while, still film. I'll go to a protest and film it, but even the Israeli thing or Palestinian thing, and usually the sides will be presented separately, because I generally do my videos in one take. I don't really splice them together or have time to do that. But it doesn't mean I'm necessarily supporting that side or the other side, or encouraging anyone. I'm just simply letting the protesters present their views. I know that was problematical after the election. YouTube required countervailing views presented to be presented within the video when it was about the election, and sometimes about, I think, the vaccines or something. I haven't run into that myself, but I suppose I could. But anyway, that's what I wanted to let you know about today. And I do thank you for listening.